Long before the Bullet Club's Barry the Drug-Free Bear or Jack Swagger's Soaring Eagle, there was another pro wrestling mascot that ended up being way lamer. Another failed opportunity by World Championship Wrestling on something that was really unique for the time and could have truly set them apart and made for some hilarious and entertaining skits. Some people may be unfamiliar with it, but hardcore WCW fans from the mid-90s will probably feel like you're talking about an old friend when you mention the mascot Wild Cat Willie. Wild Cat Willie. Get it? His initials are WCW. Clever, right? Right? WCW introduced this, at the time, to 8-year-old me, awesome mascot, to the world on April 23rd, 1994, on an episode of WCW Saturday Night, as a hype man of sorts to bring out before the shows and get the live crowd amped up, or at least attempt to. And then between matches, he would interact with the fans and give the kids another thing to look forward to when they attended a live WCW event or TV taping. He would also be present in the background during random entrances, often eliciting interaction with the wrestlers. Now, one of the wrestlers that was most famous for involving Wildcat Willie with their entrances was none other than the legendary Macho Man Randy Savage. He always seemed to enjoy poking around at the mascot, or perhaps the man underneath the costume, which led many to believe over these years that it was Randy's brother Lanny Poffo who was actually playing the role of Wildcat Willie all along. The timeline even matches up. Kinda. See, Lanny had a WCW contract from 1995 all the way up to 1999, the year that poor Wildcat Willie was locked away in the basement of WCW's headquarters over in an industrial park in Smyrna for good. And he never appeared on TV or was known to be involved with, well, anything all of those years. Lanny Poffo couldn't have just been sitting around at home on his rear end collecting a free paycheck from Turner Broadcasting all those years, right? Well, think again. The mystery was finally unraveled after all of these years by none other than the legendary WCW announcer Tony Schiavone on his What Happened When podcast. On March 18th, 2018, during an episode where he and the show's co-host Conrad Thompson were covering the pay-per-view Uncensored 1996. Schiavone revealed that it wasn't Poffo under the Wildcat Willie hood all of those years. In actuality, it was the same man who accompanied Lord Steven Regal to the ring that night at Uncensored 96. The short-lived Blue Bloods manager, Jeeves. Now, shout out to Tony Schiavone and What Happened When, by the way. Excellent podcast. If you haven't checked it out and you're a fan of World Championship Wrestling, you owe it to yourself to give it a chance. All in all, during those years from 1994 through 1996 until the company phased poor Wildcat Willie out somewhere around the whole NWO angle, I enjoyed WCW's fun-loving mascot. He even had his own shirt. Not even ashamed to admit that I wanted it either. That's right. I thought the costume was cool. For the time, again, I was a kid, and it was unique. The WWF didn't have a freaking mascot. Vince McMahon didn't think of having a company mascot. No, that was Eric Bischoff. But looking back on it, I also can't help but think of all the lost opportunity there. Willie could have been... He could have added a certain something to backstage promos and made for some hilarious situations. And if they had have kept Willie around for a little longer through the NWO era, Hogan, Nash, and Hall could have completely destroyed poor Willie, spray painting his lifeless body after a jackknife, an outsider's edge, and then a leg drop. I mean, how heel is that? And what a better way to send a message that times were changing in WCW. Instead, Willie just faded away. Until the late 90s, when WCW, in another brilliant move on their part, decided to bring the Mascot back from the dead, complete with a makeover. A very, let me emphasize this, very bad makeover. Poor Willie was back on Nitro, and he looked more like a damn werewolf. Seriously, it didn't even make sense to call him Wild Cat Willie at this point. Just call him what he is. Werewolf Willie. Werewolf Willie. What? Oh, his initials wouldn't be WCW then? Screw it. Whatever. It looked like he raided Randy Savage's closet to boot, probably adding more fuel to the fire over the years that it was Poffo behind the Mascot, until Tony Schiavone set the record straight. It was appalling, man. Nightmare-inducing, even. Alas, this iteration of Wild Cat Willie would have an even shorter shelf life than the first, and as mentioned earlier, Willie was put down for good in 1999. Never to be seen again. But we won't forget you, Wild Cat Willie. Forever in our hearts and minds. Rest in peace, Willie. Rest in peace.